Good evening, everyone. So great to have you here. As I said earlier, especially warm welcome to you if you're new to our church. Maybe you've been coming for a few weeks and you're looking for a church home, or maybe you're exploring faith, or maybe you've just been dragged along because you heard there were pizza tonight, and there is going to be a lot of pizza. Whatever you find yourself on that journey, we're thrilled that you're here. And my name's Josh. I'm part of the team here, and I'm really excited to be continuing our series in Ecclesiastes. Have you been enjoying this series so far? It's been so good, hasn't it? It's just a book that is pretty underrated, I think, and we're discovering this so much beauty to it. And if you've missed any of the weeks, I'd encourage you to get back on our website and have a little look. But we've been looking through Ecclesiastes about the meaninglessness of life without God, haven't we? About the reality of injustice, about unfulfilled hopes and dreams, the seasons that we go through, what it means to fear the Lord. Rachel did a great talk a couple of weeks ago. Someone tonight described Ecclesiastes as an old man saying, I love my life, I hate my life. I love my life. And that's kind of what it is, isn't it? That's the kind of story of Ecclesiastes. And so tonight I want to talk about wisdom. Talk about wisdom, and Solomon, who wrote the book of Ecclesiastes, was the wisest man who ever lived. We find ourselves in chapter 7 of Ecclesiastes, which are some of the wise sayings of King Solomon. And I've got a couple of anchor verses because it's a long chapter. I could read the whole lot, but I want to start in verse 11, which speaks of wisdom, really sums up the theme of the whole chapter, and really the ensuing chapters. This is what it says: wisdom, like an inheritance, is a good thing, and it benefits those who see the sun. That is everyone. Wisdom is a shelter as money is a shelter, but the advantage of knowledge is this: wisdom preserves those who have it. So what is wisdom? Well, Ecclesiastes uses this word hokmah. Everyone say hokmah. Hokmah. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but hokmah means wisdom, but that's actually the word that was used in the ancient world for artisans, for creatives, for craftsmanship. Hokmah, the language of skillfully making something beautiful. Have you ever thought about wisdom like that? If you want to know what wisdom is, it is the art of crafting something beautiful out of every area of your life. Your relationships, or your kids, or your work, or your finances, or your holidays, or your business, or your mind. Crafting something beautiful out of that so that you bring life to the world. You see, wisdom is far more than knowledge. It's far more than just an intellectual idea or knowing how something works. Wisdom is about craftsmanship. There are a bunch of books of wisdom in the Bible. One of them is called Proverbs, and I'd encourage you to read that. It's stunning. Proverbs 24 says this: by wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. So wisdom, guys, is about building the house of your life. It's about intentionally making choices which lead you and those around you towards flourishing. Now, if I'm honest, growing up, I didn't make a lot of very wise choices. Anyone else? Are we in a safe place for me to disclose some of my deepest secrets? In fact, I think if I look back through my teenage years, my early years at university, I made some very poor choices. Let me run through a few of them to make you guys feel better. I made some unwise financial choices. I had a heavy addiction to football stickers every time the World Cup came around. Anyone else? That was the first thing to go when I got engaged. Scratch cards. I didn't know what scratch cards were, and I went into a shop, and I was very naive, went into a newsagent's with my buddy at university, and I thought, oh, what are these things? Bought one for £2, won a tenner. I thought, this is easy money. Turns out that's how they hook you in, and then I lost a lot more money. When I got engaged, Hannah's very good financially. She's an accountant, my wife, and she said, right, now you're engaged, I want to see your bank account. So I said, I'm an open book. And she goes, okay, I've got some questions about your finances. I said, yeah, sure, shoot, hit me. And she said, you've got about 3 or 4 direct debits coming out of your account every month. This one's £25, this one's £40, this one's £30. Who are they for? And I said, what's a direct debit? So that wasn't that helpful for us. tricky relational dynamics early on. I made some unwise relational choices. I made some unwise health choices. Probably my least wise choice of all time is the day I got arrested. And I thought I'd tell you that story. I haven't busted it out this year, but I was 15 years old. And I used to walk about 45 minutes to school across a bridge, over a dual carriageway. It was a busy road. The other thing I need to tell you is that my mum made me a packed lunch until I was basically 18 years old. The other thing you need to know is a terrible packed lunch. It was absolutely rubbish. It was like a piece of bread, Marmite, and a banana, something like that. I love Marmite, but it wasn't that good. So what I used to do, and I feel bad about this, was that I used to throw away my packed lunch either on the way to school or before school, and then I worked in Summerfield. Back then, anyone remember Summerfield? Living the dream, shelf stacking, loved it. Really didn't love it. But then I used to throw it, and then I used to have a bit of pocket money, and I used to buy my lunch, whatever I want for the day. Now, there was one day we were crossing this bridge, and I had my sandwiches and my banana, and we were crossing the bridge, and I was kind of getting ready to throw away my stuff. But all of a sudden, over the bridge, I got it out, and I looked at this banana. I looked at my friends who I was walking with, and then I looked at the road, and there was a council van lorry coming, and it had a big open back. And I saw glory. I thought, if I can get this banana in the back of that council van, I'm going to go down in history. I'm going to go down in my school. And actually, there's some students here tonight who went to my school, but you've never heard this story. And so I said to my friends, they looked at me, they thought, Josh is going to be a legend among men. So the council van was coming, probably 70 miles an hour. And I was aiming, and I thought I can do this because I enjoyed sports. So I threw the banana off the bridge, and it hit the windshield of the council van, which then skidded a bit and pulled in. And I was, okay, fine, everything's fine, carried on going. We then get to the other end of the bridge. Who should I see coming around the corner waiting for us, pulled to a stop, was the council van. And I walked past it, and I could see the windscreen wipers with the mushed banana. And they get out, and they say to us, did someone throw a banana off a bridge? I don't think that sentence has ever been said before. And we lied, and we just said, no, we haven't. And we carried on going. And then it was a couple of hours later that the police arrived at school. And there were some guys behind us who were my friends, or acquaintances, who gave our names to the guy from the council van. And long story short, I was then, I burst into tears, crying like a baby, and frog marched to the police station, had my fingerprints taken, so there's no way out for me now. And it was awful. And then the next day, I was genuinely the coolest kid in school for about 15 minutes. So that's an example of what my probably least wise choice. So how many of you know, back to the talk, we all need wisdom, right? We all need wisdom. If wisdom is the art of living well, how many of us need and want that? We need wisdom to cultivate healthy and thriving relationships. We need wisdom to know how to handle money and invest wisely. We need wisdom to raise kids and have healthy relationships and marriages. We need wisdom to choose our friends, and we need wisdom to know which friends not to choose. We need wisdom when making life's big decisions about work and houses and studying. We need wisdom to know how to spend our time, how to navigate conflict, how to engage with the government, how to deal with alcohol. All of these things, what to look at, what to watch. We need wisdom to know how to do Christmas with the in-laws. Can I get a witness? Some of you do not know what that's like. Enjoy ignorance. We need wisdom to know how to take care of our bodies and our thought life and what we look at. Engaging with wisdom is the intentional way of living life on purpose. Now, a couple of reflections on wisdom from the book of Ecclesiastes and the rest of the Bible. Number one, wisdom, living a life of wisdom, is grounded in the fear of the Lord. And Rach unpacked this so well a couple of weeks ago, but this is really the fear of the Lord, the posture that God comes first. That's what it really is. And everything I do must please and honor and delight him because I love him. Fearing God is like, okay, me and my house, my family, we serve the Lord. For Hannah and I, God comes first in everything. Every decision we make is like, is this leading our family closer to the will and the ways and the heart and the purpose of Jesus for us and for our city? Or is this leading us a little bit further away from Jesus? Fear of the Lord is making sure Jesus is at the center of my life. I'll give you an example of me processing this. Anyone else kind of addicted to Rightmove? Me, I am. I love Rightmove, and I have fantasies that I roll through every now and again. I have dream homes, and one of the things that I've been thinking about last month, just purely fantasy, is I'd like a holiday home in the Yorkshire Dales. Love the Yorkshire Dales, absolutely love it. I like a renovation project, and I'm a big believer that young children could give incredible wisdom, so I sometimes ask Ivy, my 4-year-old, very pointed questions, just so she can say something that I might take as a word from the Lord. And I said to her, Ivy, can I tell you about one of my dreams? And she said, yes, Daddy. And I said, well, I'd like to get a home in the Yorkshire Dales for us to go on holiday. What do you think about that? And I thought this is going to be a no-brainer. She'll say, yes, Daddy, put Bluey back on. And she pauses, and then she says, this is just last week, she said, can we take it to heaven? And I thought, well, that's the last time I'm telling you about one of my dreams. So living wisely is birthed in the fear of the Lord, God first. I'm a big believer that when you put God first in everything in your life does just fall into place. Some of you right now are struggling, maybe struggling financially, maybe struggling relationally, struggling to get life together. Maybe this is your first time here and you're like, I need some help. But let me say, if we want the house of our lives to be built in a way that is incredible and fruitful and flourishing and bringing life to our community, the gateway to that is to build it for God. Jesus said this, seek first my kingdom and my righteousness, and everything else that you're worried about, anxious about, fearful about, grasping onto control for, Jesus said, I'll take care of that for you. Just put me first. The fear of God, that is the key to wisdom. Number 2, the second key to building a life of wisdom is that wisdom is anchored in an ongoing intimate relationship with Jesus. Intimacy with Jesus is the key to living wisely, because how many of you know wisdom is not black and white? Wisdom is so often nuanced and complicated and shades of gray. There's no right answer for you and right answer for me that's out of a textbook. There's no one size fits all to living with wisdom. I think this is one of the reasons in the Proverbs, wisdom is personified as a person, because you grow in relationship with wisdom. How many of you know in relationships there's a back and forth? There's an ebb and a flow. There's personality and idiosyncrasy. There's, what's wise for one may not be wise for another. The person of wisdom, which is Jesus, as we find out in 1 Corinthians, might guide me this way and you that way. Let me give you an example of this in the Proverbs. Proverbs 26, verse 4 says this, do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you yourself will be just like him. So this is King Solomon saying, don't engage with foolish people. You'll get dragged right into their mess. Take a step back from their stupid arguments, their quarrels, their ridiculous ideas. When there's a social media, I think he's talking about social media, when there's a social media battle or a war or gossip among work colleagues, Solomon's like, don't engage with that. Pull back, walk away, you'll get sucked in. Anyone here a fan of Married at First Sight? I know what you're thinking, Josh, isn't Married at First Sight 36 episodes, an hour long each? Is that a wise use of your time? To which I would say, probably not. The next verse, Solomon says this. So in that verse, Solomon says, do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you'll be just like him. That sounds like great wisdom, right? The next verse says this, answer a fool according to his folly, or he will be wise in his own eyes. Here, Solomon says, you should answer a fool, or he'll be forever trapped in his foolish life. You've got an opportunity to bring light into a moment, into a situation, into a person's life. So the question is, which one is it? Should we answer a fool according to their folly, or should we not answer a fool according to their folly? The answer is, of course, both. But this is the nature of wisdom. You have to walk with wisdom and listen to the Holy Spirit. It's a moment by moment. It's a situation by situation. There is no rule book for this, and certainly no laws. Living wisely has to be birthed out of a daily intimate relationship with Jesus. So here's what it looks like. Living wisely looks like coming to God with our days and with our decisions as we build the house of our life, as we approach a situation or a crucial conversation or a moment of test or temptation. We come to God in prayer and we ask for help. We ask for wisdom. James chapter 1, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God. He gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. God is so desperate to give us wisdom. We just need to ask. And we say, okay, God, where do I go? What do I do? What do I say? Lord, give me wisdom. Jesus, the wisdom of God, would you come and speak? And Jesus will train us in wisdom. A man who's got a great name called Tremper Longman III wrote a commentary on wisdom and Proverbs. And he says this: wisdom is not simply a matter of learning certain principles of life and applying them mechanistically. Wisdom begins with a relationship with God. Take nothing away, take that. So I want to come back to the first 3 verses, or so we looked at the beginning. And here Solomon gives us 3 pictures of wisdom, starting in verse 11. I think this is the first slide we have. No, forget that. Go back to the beginning. Yes, this is it. Thank you. We're just going to stick on these 3 verses now for the rest of our time. And Solomon gives us 3 pictures of wisdom which highlights some of the benefits to living wisely. And let me just read it again. It says this: wisdom, like an inheritance, is a good thing. It benefits those who see the sun. Wisdom is a shelter, as money is a shelter. But the advantage of knowledge, of wisdom, is this: wisdom preserves those who have it. So 3 things if you're making notes. Number 1, wisdom is a prize. Number 2, wisdom is a protector. And number 3, wisdom is a preserver. Prize, protector, preserver. Number 1, wisdom is a prize. Solomon says, like an inheritance, wisdom is a good thing and will benefit your life. Living wisely is designed to have a generational impact on your life. What's an inheritance? It's a gift that you've been given that someone else has paid for. Let me say there's no inheritance tax on the wisdom of God. Doing wisdom is God's thoughts, his architecture plans, his heavenly strategy for blessing being given to you. And it's not just an inheritance for you, but wisdom is designed to build a legacy, to build a life which goes far beyond you, to your kids, to your grandkids, bringing heaven to earth. I love in the Proverbs a verse which says, a good person, a wise person, leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And I think that's for every Christian. There's an inheritance, not just financial, but of wisdom, of faith for those that come after us. In other words, when you live a kingdom life, the fruit of that goes way beyond you. Don't you long to make a mark on the earth? Anyone else? Just me? Don't you long to spend your life for a cause that is greater than yourself? Don't you long to leave a world-changing legacy that those after us will remember how we love Jesus and built the kingdom and extended what God is doing? Living wisely helps us do that. Living wisely is something we should all pursue and chase after. We all want to know how to live well, how to get the best out of our time here on earth, how to thrive in every area of our lives. Wisdom is the key to that. Number 2, wisdom is a protector. Wisdom is a shelter, Solomon says. Wisdom is a shelter. It guards, it protects, it keeps away the storms of life. Here's what wisdom does. Living wisely builds strong foundations. Living wisely builds for the future. Living wisely sets up your life on the whole to avoid issues. Wisdom protects. Wisdom guards, especially as we read books like Ecclesiastes and Proverbs. The principles there are given by God to protect us from so many issues. Wisdom does lead us away from trouble. Let me give you a few examples. Proverbs 15, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Some great wisdom for how to deal with relationships and conflict. Another one, whoever is greedy for unjust gain troubles his own household. some wisdom there around contentment and about how we earn a living. Ecclesiastes 10, if the anger of the ruler or the government or social media rises against you, do not leave your place, for calmness will lay great offenses to rest. I love that. Calm down. That's basically the Bible saying calm down. When you see something that is riling you up, calm down. The principles of wisdom are designed to protect us. Protect us from financial brokenness, relational brokenness, physical brokenness. For some of you, life is a battle. Some of you, but here's what I want to say. Not every issue that we face in life is going to be solved by living just more wisely. It's important to say that. Sometimes life is hard because it's just life. I have a 10-month-old at the minute who's not sleeping, and we did everything the same as our first daughter who slept really well, and he's just not sleeping. We've read the books, we've done sleep training, and it's just not working. Sometimes these things are just life. These are things beyond us, outside of our control. Spontaneous sickness or a major issue in life. It's just sometimes it happens. But sometimes these things may be spiritual as well. We live in a spiritual battle, don't we? So sometimes there is a spiritual enemy coming after us to attack us. But sometimes, a lot of times I would say, there are choices we make which aren't leading us towards healthy, flourishing, protected lives. I remember a number of years ago, I was chatting to a student once, and the student was really struggling mentally and came to me, and I'm in a bad place. I said, what's happening? He said, I am feeling low. I'm feeling down. I said, right, let's talk about your life. What's happening? Tell me about what your rhythm, your routine, your days, your margin. He said, I don't sleep much. I stay up gaming till 4 a.m, then I get up at 8 to go for lectures. I don't do any exercise. I eat takeaway all the time. I spend all my money on purchases that I don't need. And I'm addicted to pornography. And I said, I can see a number of things that are directly contributing to not feeling great. There's a reality that sometimes those like mental health conditions are just completely out of our control, but sometimes they're very much in our control. I said, dude, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can work on here that can begin to take back of control of the things that you were designed to be in control and intentional of. This is stewardship. It's taking the life that we've been giving and investing in it for the sake of health and for the sake of Jesus. And as we begin to live wisely, we'll see ourselves protected. Finally, wisdom preserves. This is my final point coming into land. Not only does wisdom protect us from the things that are going on around us, but it also preserves us. It makes us fruitful for the long haul. It brings success and flourishing and wholeness to our lives. Wisdom bestows well-being. That's in the Bible. I love that. I think one of the best texts in the Bible for this, I want to jump back to the Proverbs if that's okay. I couldn't put this much better, that wisdom is a preserver. I want to read a few verses. This is Solomon again. He says this, my son, do not forget my teaching. I want you to imagine this is a parent or someone you trust speaking these words. My son, my daughter, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. This will bring health to your bones and nourishment to your body. Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruit of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled with overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine. Blessed are those who find wisdom. Everyone say that. Blessed are those who find wisdom. Blessed are those who find wisdom. Those who gain understanding, for she is more profitable than silver and yields better returns than Bitcoin, says gold. But she is more precious than rubies. Nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is in her right hand. In her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are pleasant ways. All her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those who take hold of her, and those who hold her fast will be blessed. My son, my daughter, do not let wisdom and understanding out of your sight. Preserve sound judgment and discretion. They will be life for you. Then you will go on your way in safety, and your foot will not stumble. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Amen. Isn't that beautiful? Stunning. So we're called to a life of wisdom, and this is about making choices which lead to flourishing. Choices founded in a love for Jesus, putting God first. and choices birthed moment by moment in intimacy, and he will give us wisdom. The other thing to say, and we could talk about wisdom for so long, and we're going to have this more wisdom in the next couple of weeks, wisdom is found in community. So if you want to know what wise decisions to make, I would encourage you to get stuck into church, find a home group, find people who also love Jesus who can speak into your life. Amen.